PvP in DayZ is terrifying, menacing, intimidating, all the things. Today, we're going to talk about some ideas to slow the game down and make you better. First thing we're going to talk about is cover. And although it seems like a very basic concept, I believe it's something new players and experienced players overlook. Although DayZ is not just a PvP game, we have to be conscious of the possibility of PvP. The most important thing tied to cover is knowing where the shots came from. Once we can figure this out, we can decide what cover is effective and what cover isn't cover at all. Also, we can understand vulnerable spots and what directions we don't want to be running. Let's look at this example where I was walking down the street and got shot at from what appears to be the top of a nearby castle. Something I like to do to figure out where exactly someone is, especially when I believe they're using a bolt action rifle, is after I hear their shot, I pan my camera to where the shot came from. This allows me to centralize the audio on my ears, giving me a good idea as to where the bullet came from. I'll pan it left to right, and especially if I don't have a POI, it'll really help me centralize that. Now, I know that castle can see me, but I'm in a valley in a town, so at some point I'm going to be in the open like right now. What I do is I use visual cover as opposed to physical cover to block this person's anything from knowing exactly where I'm going to be next. Now, it looks like I got a bunch of zombies on me, so I have to take care of them. But notice how I do it under the veil of the house. Like, I am completely covered from line of view, and even right now, I'm sitting in a spot where I'm tucked away and covered from that perspective. At the end of the day, when we are trying to avoid being shot at, we are going to come across moments where we are exposed. We're not going to be able to help that. What we need to be making sure of is when we do come across those moments that we are either full of stamina or we are shifting our running position to where we are not aligned with the shooter. So I'm going to be running out here. It looks like there's no more cover for me, and I have to run in the open. What we need to be thinking about is showing the least amount of our body to the shooter. Now, I recently used this image in a different video, but it perfectly describes what I'm explaining. If we are running directly parallel with the shooter, running the same direction that his gun is aimed, our shoulders are going to be the width of the first two, like left to right. Our whole body is going to be showing. But if I'm running at an angle, it's going to be like the second two, right? We need to always make sure that we're not giving our shooter the maximum size target to blast at. So now we're going to talk about the main difference maker, in my opinion, in a lot of video games that are first-person shooters, and that is crosshair placement. So in DayZ, most of the loot that we come across spawns below our center line. For example, in these containers, the loot is spawning below our center line. So if I cut, if I'm looking parallel with the ground and I cut the screen in half, most of our loot, even loot that maybe sometimes is orchestrated on top of a bed, is still going to be below our center line. Okay? And what happens because of that is our mouse is naturally drawn to the ground. And for new players, especially that aren't familiar with loot spawns and they don't know where stuff is going to spawn, they're going to be even more so fixated to the ground because they're looking 10 times more curiously than an experienced player would be looking for this loot. An experienced player maybe knows that the loot spawns here, and the new player would wonder if it spawns here. So our mouse, what I'm trying to get you to think is our mouse is naturally drawn to the ground. Okay? In reality, the only time we should look at the ground is when we see something below our center line, and we should go. Now, what happens is I'm at a military compound now. I'm going to open this building here. Because we are drawn at the ground, we keep our crosshair down here, which means if I were to come in here and I'm looking down and I'm looking down and I come across a bad guy, okay? Now, I'm going to keep my crosshair right where it is. The distance that I have to travel, it's right at the peak of the store, let's say. The distance I have to travel is exactly this much to hit this guy in the center of his chest. And in reality, I'm a human, so I'm probably going to adjust, and then I'm probably going to have to micro adjust again. And that's like a pretty skilled player. right there is one micro adjustments. New players that maybe aren't familiar with first-person shooters, they're going to have to adjust, and probably adjust maybe 2 more times after that as well. Maybe 4 total adjustments. Now, I'm going to propose this to you. If your crosshair isn't at the ground line, let's say you were aiming right here. Let's say you saw it just like this. The amount of adjustment, it lowers the adjustment. You understand? It's like the chance that I get it perfect from here is lower than the chance that I get it perfect from here. And that's just because it's more familiar. I just turn left. I'm not having to judge up and down and left. I'm not having to do all this. So normal people that aren't Shroud, people that aren't like a super good gamer, okay, when they come around this corner, if they are not close to the target already with their crosshair, they're going to have to make maybe 3-4 adjustments. First, if I'm somewhere in the area, it's going to be much more straightforward for me to just shift over that little tiny distance and hit them. So, something that I recommend is when you are clearing a building and you're thinking someone is bad inside, you need to have your crosshair exactly so when you peek a corner, your crosshair would be on where you anticipate someone to be. Let's say you thought someone was around the corner here, right? While I'm clearing it, I want to be already aiming at where, like, if I expected them to be crouching, I would be aiming here. Right? I was aiming right here. That means the adjustment I would have to make would be that much. Now compare that to if I was looking like this. First off, I can't even see him, but let's say I was looking at the fireplace. The adjustment is all of that terrain and then probably another adjustment. And then I could shoot him. So, when you are suspecting, I'm not saying go through every civilian building like, oh my god, be very careful. Because at a point, you need to find peace in the game in order to enjoy it. And crosshair placement is something that you need to be thinking about when you're, one, suspecting someone of being in the area. If you're clearing a building and you see a bunch of dead zombies outside, yeah, then we need to have our crosshair like ready to go so we could shoot that person the second we peek through, right? As you saw there, like me coming around, because I was so close, I was able to flick onto him, like just do a little flick, right? If I'm really far away, my ability to do that flick is way lower. You see, I missed both of the shots. I tried to hit him with both the shots. So just something to think about. Always when you are suspecting a bad guy of being in your way, we need to be thinking, if they were there, how close would my crosshair be to them? Okay? The next idea I want to talk about is not allowing our adversary to predict our next movement. This really comes down to thinking about what they're seeing from us. For example, if there was a guy in this ATC here and he was aiming down at us on this wall and we peek the same angle like 3-4 times in a row, we're going to allow this person to get very comfortable with us in our pattern and ultimately probably land a shot that's fatal to us. So let's talk about what we should do. If I shot at them right here, boop, and then I go behind this wall, we both exchange a bullet. Now, if I just re-peek this again and shoot at them, boop, and we both miss, and then I re-peek again and shoot at them and we both miss, they are going to be able to get a beat on what I am doing. I am going to be able to be predicted, and normally what happens, especially in sniping in DayZ, is what gets you killed is when you get into a pattern. For example, if I'm out in the open and maybe I don't know there's someone in that tower and I'm just walking in a straight line. I'm in a pattern right now. I'm in a pattern of straight forward. Or maybe I think there's someone over there. I'm looking around and I'm like staying on my toes, but I'm moving just like this over and over. You see it's the same pattern? When we get into a pattern, the person that is sniping us can get a beat on the situation and predict where we are going to go next. So instead, what I'm saying to you is instead of exchanging fire here twice, 3 times, 4 times, exchange fire, hide. Try and come from height. Because think of this. Let's say they were on that top window if they were aiming towards this, even if this is a slow peek for me, right? I have a slow peek here. Even if it's a slow peek, they have to adjust their crosshair, just like we talked on the crosshair placement over here. They have to adjust their crosshair from aiming here to here. And that could give me this millisecond opportunity for me to get a shot off without them having an opportunity to get a beat on me. And then maybe I wait for 20 seconds. And then maybe I peek this. And then maybe I go all the way over here for the first time. And I don't go all the way to the peak. And I go right here. Boom. And then maybe I go all the way over here and I step up on this and I shoot through the bush. The idea is when we are in a firefight over long range in particular, especially over long range, the most important thing is that we are not moving in a manner that allows our adversary to predict our movements. We always want to be putting a little hiccup in it. I'm not running a straight line. Imagine shooting at this compared to someone just jogging in a straight line. The ultimate thing is we don't want to allow our opponent to get an easy shot on us. And we do that by switching it up. Something that we always need to be asking ourselves, and particularly when we're in military areas or places that we consider dangerous, is how many angles could someone at this moment peek out and shoot me right now? So this seems like a relatively flat spot right here, but I want you just to process right now how many different spots I could have someone jump out from. I could have them jump out from that door in the military building to the left. I could have them jump on top of whatever this blue thing is over here. I could have them come right in front of this barrack right here. They could pop out behind that gate right there. They could pop out to the right side of that gate. They could pop out all the way to the right. They could even snipe all the way to the right, and that's not even including this way. So this spot, even though concealed in some way, is a very vulnerable spot as far as how many spots I can be shot from. And this is important when we're moving through a compound or through a city, that we are maintaining a low level of POVs, of field of views. All right. So better, even though it doesn't feel as safe, I would say it would be like right here. This is half as many I could see. Ultimately, this is all bad, actually. Let's look at something better. This was actually the exact spot that my recent PvP video happened. So let's talk about it. This is perfect. When I came across here, I got sniped at from over there. Why? Because if we look, I have so many different spots where someone could be. This is a terrible position for me to be. So if I wanted all the loot on this airfield, and I'm going through this, there are points of compromise where I have to make a decision. Is it worth it coming out to this very open, exposed location and looting this barrack for the cost of the entire surrounding area having an opportunity to get a beat on me? No. I am a firm believer that this game is built on surviving, and that means that sometimes we have to compromise with ourselves and say, even though there may be juicy, beautiful loot in here, I would rather come over here, stay maybe a little bit more hidden on this little orange compound, move it along the wall, and then maybe sneak into here and stay along this and go out here and stay off the path of the most visual contact. Like right here, I'm seen from everywhere. As we saw in the video, I got shot at from over here. So sometimes in our pursuit of loot, we have to be able to compromise with ourselves. Is this location worth the risk that is associated? Because I want to put this hypothetical to you. Let's say, instead of me being here in that last video, for those of you that didn't see, I spawned in right over here, ran there, ran here, and when I ran to this gold, silver building here, I got shot at. Now, what if instead of me being this person, I was the person off the beaten path over here? And I hear these people fighting, and they kill each other, okay? Maybe one of them kills another one, and I see them looting the body. I then have an opportunity to shoot this person, which would be me in this scenario, that is looting the other person, right? And when I shoot this person, bang, I blast this guy. Now I have an opportunity not only to both of those parties loot, but I also have an opportunity to the loot of this barrack that eluded me. Do you see what I'm saying? Even if we stay off the beaten path, if there are people in those danger zones, they're going to be accumulating that loot from the dangerous locations for us. So when we go into a military compound, always think people are going to be hunting there more than anywhere else. Maybe instead of going right into the center where I could be seen from so many different places, maybe I stay a little bit more tucked away into the trees, and I creep out and I get some loot and I get some loot, and then I come back and then I creep out and then I creep out and I creep out and then I go over here, and then, oh, look at, there's bunkers, oh, there's this, and I loot these. Why? Because they're not, if we compare this location right here, okay, we compare this location, if I look around, yeah, sure, I could get shot at from a 360 radius, but is that as many locations as this barrack right here? And where am I ultimately going to find more loot as well? We have to ask ourselves that. So when it comes to moving through a compound, choosing when to risk your visibility is very important. And I think it's something that you'll get a better grasp of as you play certain maps more and you become more familiar with the loot. Next up, anxiety attacks, stress, the sweats. You will encounter one of these at one point in your adventure through this game. Let's get down to the root of it all first. The reason you're stressed is you don't want to lose your character. And they're in the progress that you made on that character. That's human of you. And we all, to an extent, are feeling the same sensation. Now, how we all deal with that is going to differ. But I have a sort of system I use when stress is taking me in. First, I always try and find a safe location to gather myself, normally somewhere with my back to a wall and a gun to a door. When in this spot, I will take myself out of my shoes and begin picturing everything that has happened so far in the battle from my opponent's perspective. Why, you ask? Well, first off, it allows me to have a better understanding as to what an intelligent person in their shoes would do versus my actions. And secondly, it takes me out of myself. I become a bot watching a door while my brain is allowed to take all the stresses of my situation aside and allow me to address my adversary. Stress is human. We're all going to experience it while playing a game, especially when we tie a value into our character. So don't be too hard on yourself when your blood pumps so hard that you can't make a good decision and then you can reflect on it later. Those moments are going to allow us to build up a sort of catalog of experiences that will then just make us into better players in the future. Keep going. Alright, so I'm here at Zelenogorsk, which is widely considered to be one of the more treacherous areas of the map. There are a lot of zombies in this area, and there is also a lot of players that centralize themselves here. Now, new players are going to take time to get comfortable with all the different dynamics that gunplay has. For example, tapping it and aiming down sights, or putting it at your hip like this and then aiming down sights afterwards, holding your breath once you aim down sights. All of these things are like a puzzle for your fingers to figure out, and it's going to take time for you to figure those out. So what I recommend for new players, especially for new players, is if you ever see an MK2, and let's say you don't find it with a magazine, I'll even drop the magazine out, right? If you ever find this gun, you need to grab it. This is a gold mine. This is the most valuable gun to you in your progression from a beginner to an experienced player. Why? Well, first off, if I do have a mag, it'll teach me how to reload properly. Hold R. And let's say I don't have a mag. Let's say it jams. Let's say anything happens with this gun. Wait, let me. The reason why this gun is so valuable is because it is integrally suppressed. It says so right here. Which means that the actual gun itself has a silencer built into it. And because of that, if I did have a weapon cleaning kit and this gun took damage at any point, I could repair both the silencer and the gun with the same usage of a weapon cleaning kit. Therefore, kind of leading me into a position to where I don't need to use more of my weapon cleaning kit to sustain this weapon to continue killing zombies silently. Now, when I say this gun is silent, I mean it is silent. It is not silent like an AK is silent. It is not silent like a Glock is silent. It is silent like silent, silent, silent. It makes zero noise. And the cool thing about the MK2 is that it's shooting 22 ammo. And if you just find one box of 22, it gives you 50 bullets. Okay, I'm going to open this box right now. And look at this. I have 50 bullets. So I'm going to drop the mag. I'm not even going to use the mag. And let's say you were new to the gun. You could like practice. Okay, I see that there's a bullet chambered down here in the bottom left. I want to get that out. Okay, I pressed R. It's like it gives you a comfortable setting to understand the mechanics of gunplay. Right? Well, I need to chamber a bullet, so I'm going to hold R now. And my guy's going to chamber that bullet. Okay, and now I am going to clear Zelen with just this MK2. I'm not going to use a magazine. And I'm not going to have armor or anything like that. I have full HP, full food, full water. But check it out. I'm just going to let you watch how powerful and how easy this gun makes the game for beginners, especially for beginners. In the hands of an experienced player, it's a great tool. In the hands of a beginner, it is an asset. It is a hack. It is a cheat code because it's going to give you all the things that you're going to learn over time of PvP, which happens quite rarely. It's going to allow you to fine-tune those skills regularly, every moment of the game. As long as I have ammo to this. Oh, look at the zombie. So let's say I miss. Boom. Did that zombie respond to my bullet at all? He's completely clueless. Let's say I miss again. Oh, never mind. I didn't. Can't help myself. So that's one bullet in the head. Killed that zombie. Now, for someone who doesn't aim as good, right? You're not really confident with gunplay. You're not an experienced or a young player, maybe. Or maybe you just don't play many first-person shooters, okay? This gun is going to allow you to familiarize yourself with aiming in a position where you're going to be under the least possible threat, right? When I'm just fighting zombies, that's the minimum threat in DayZ, really, right? Okay, so this is a really... Oh, look at another zombie. I'm going to hold my breath. I'm going to poke him in the head. Reload my gun. So this one's going to shout at me, watch. What I recommend is when something's shouting at you, let it shout. Watch. Let it shout. Oh, that's when you shoot him in the head. Because unless they're the officer zombie, so the zombie with the extra hat, we'll probably find one here pretty soon. They won't aggro all the other zombies in the area. And it kind of makes them in a position where they're standing still when they do that. All right, so now imagine, because I killed all those zombies silently, I don't have to fight the entire horde all at once. I'm just slowly able to crunch this. And now I have 1, 2, 3 military buildings that I'd be able to touch. 4 military buildings that I'd be able to touch. Both of these that I'd be able to touch. Just because of this MK2. Right? Now, if you are not good at aiming and you're missing a bunch, you just keep shooting and you keep missing and it's getting tough for you. And maybe a zombie aggro's on you every now and then and you panic. Remember, always just have it on a hotbar. Press that hotbar key and run into a building. Lock yourself in. Make yourself safe. And then you can take your time. Wait for them to de-aggro again. Come out. Crouch the whole time. Remember, zombies' line of sight really matters. Okay, so this one's got a helmet. I missed him. Here we go. He's aggroing. Oh, no. I don't know what to do. Just lock myself in a building. The whole point of the MK2 is to make you have a comfort related to the gunplay. And it kind of puts it in the forefront. So this guy's got a helmet. I kind of want to fight him. I'm going to hit him in the head just to show you. On certain zombie models, it's not going to be a one-hit headshot. I hit him in the face right there. Okay? Maybe with a certain helmet, it's going to take 2. And as you can see, the helmet was pristine, and now it's a little bit damaged. Okay? Badly damaged. So if they do have a helmet, it's going to take more than 1 bullet. Although the MK2 is not going to help us dominate in fights, it's an asset that is going to get us to a place to where PvP is something that we have a better understanding of. In the next scenario, you're going to be running along and then some noob is going to shoot at you. Thankfully, they're terrible at aiming, but you're stuck in this container that only has 1 exit. it is fair to say that this person that just shot at you is going to have a beat on that door. They're going to fine-tune their aim on that sole exit that you have. And if you walk out into the open and you try to exchange fire, it's very likely, based on them controlling this angle, that they are going to shoot you before you have an opportunity to spot them and then ultimately aim at them. So the thing that I want to propose to you is that you understand how to use JigglePeaks. This is popular in Counter-Strike. It's kind of, I think that's where it came from. There's millions of games that this is relevant in, and it will help you across all different types of gameplay. So, like I said, if we just walk out into the open, we have this huge field of view that we have to cover. We have to see all of that information all at once when they only have to see that doorway, like we talked about. So, instead of doing that, I'm going to let myself take over talking to my friends. Especially you don't have a vest. You're going to put your face to the wall. You're going to make yourself parallel with the wall. And you're going to do this. And you're going to do it in bigger increments of space. So the first one, you're just going to jiggle peek that area. Then you're going to jiggle peek a little bit more. And the idea is you're clearing segments as you go. And normally what happens is you either see them out there aiming, which we're going to do in a second. Actually, you get your ass out there. I want you to pick a car, and I want you to hold an angle like you have a... Here, take this gun.
It's already... No.
Your bright-ass yellow helmet. JigglePeaks work in two different ways. One way is it allows me to clear areas of space in the safest possible manner when I am in a compromised position. The second way that it works is by just showing my shoulder. I'm showing a part of my body that, if shot, would not ultimately kill me, one. And then secondly, it can draw fire out. So if they have a bolt-action rifle and I hear a poosh, that's an opportunity for me to peek maybe a little bit wider and get a better understanding of where the person is, and then go hide again. I could read, like we talked about earlier, pan my camera and figure out where they are with audio cues. So there's a lot of different things that JigglePeaks can be used for. The main thing that is going to happen in DayZ, though, that will stop you from doing JigglePeaks effectively, is as you get more and more weight on, it becomes more and more difficult to do a quick JigglePeak. So people that like plate carriers and maximizing a giant backpack, this will be a little bit harder, but still a great tool that you can use because you can bait that shot by just showing your shoulder. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys learned something from this video. I hope these tactics allow you to dominate out there in the DayZ world, or maybe you make some friends, who knows. All the best, and I appreciate all the support. I'll see you next time.